when I die, you'll have to tell people who.
All the Sullivan guys have
Well, who are the Sullivans?
Let's see. You know that gal that was going to give you those pictures or something. Remember from the funeral, Ruth's funeral?
Yeah.
Well, she was a Sullivan. I mean, her mother and father were Sullivans, weren't they? Did her mother marry
and her, is that the one whose mother got killed? Rose?
Rose? Yeah.
And Rose and this,
What's your other cousin's name?
Rose and the other girl, but, you know, Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen.
Yeah, Mary Ellen's got a document or something, but you won't let anybody look at it.
Well, she'll probably let you look at it, but she ain't gonna give it to you.
Well, that's what I mean. I just want to look at it.
Couldn't she just make a copy of it? Huh?
I thought you might, but you never know.
I thought she said give him a copy.
Yeah, all I want is a copy. Just take it to a copy place, take a picture, you know.
She could take a copy,
Okay.
and you could pay her, and it doesn't cost that much.
Okay. Who was more religious, your mother or your father?
My mother. Not my father.
Your dad never went to church?
Well, he was working 7 days a week.
Well, that makes a difference. But he did get married in the church, though.
Yeah, I guess.
So your mother was more, so she was very active in the church?
Very active in the church. She's very active in the public school, like the Mother's Club and stuff like that.
When did you become a Lutheran?
When we got married.
So you made him change, yeah?
No.
No,
You just kind of came along, huh?
I went to talk to Pastor Lang, and if you were baptized, then you belonged to the church. Went to Bible school for 2 years. While she was, what were you doing, singing?
Singing in the choir.
Singing in the choir. Became an elder, I was an elder down there.
Used to run their thing for
Raising money,
money for the church.
raising money for the high school and stuff like that.
Well, I guess World War II is your most stressful period of your life, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What helped you get through it?
Huh?
What helped you get through it?
I used the 23rd Psalm. Pretty good.
He had a small a Bible like this.
My mom sent me that.
Little green
About
one?
this big.
Little green Bible? About that big around?
Not that long.
No, it's a little green one. About this big and about that thick. You gave it to me.
She marked
You
out
got
the
it through the war.
Yeah, marked out the 23rd Psalm. A lot of the other stuff.
He told all the ministers that was his favorite, the 23rd Psalm.
What scariest thing ever happened to you?
In what way?
I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I think when I had cancer of the shoulder. Because where that was affected the lymph glands. And not too many people in that day and age got over that.
Well, don't you credit Dr. Feller for saving your life?
So did the doctors.
By having him take the whole thing out and not just part of it?
They cut a good sized hole in my shoulder.
Yeah, but didn't they just want to take a biopsy and not the whole thing?
Well, when they found out it was cancer.
And then when they heard it was sarcoma, that's
They-
what Art Mearhoff died of, you know.
Yeah.
And they didn't think there was any chance, those other doctors. They were the specialists too, you know.
your lymph glands are right here and
I
it's
don't know
right
about
there.
lymph glands, I don't know, they're under here.
You know,
Well, under here, but
like under your
up here was the cancer, so it's
Yeah.
real close to getting into your lymph glands.
Did they ever say what caused it?
No? They just went in there and cut a great big hole in my shoulder, and all they found out was
If there was like
that
a,
the thing was under the little tumor that was there. That's where the cancer was. And then Dr. Feller made him, I had to
Radiated?
get a month's worth of cobalt treatment.
he said those people have been through too much, he said. I guess they told him about ARPANET. And they said, you're going to give him all those cancer treatments that too, you know, so.
I do remember telling the guy, when they said that, you know, come down and ask, you know, the surgeon, said, you know what you got, man? He says, now we're going to take you up, Dr.
And you didn't
Feller.
tell us. You didn't tell Art or me, did you?
We
Well,
told
you
you
were-
afterwards.
Yeah, I know you told us
Yeah,
afterwards.
but you were in school, you were taking your tests, it was, you know,
And he said to
you
me,
were got by.
he said, this could be very bad. And I said, yeah, he told me. And I says, he said, you know, I said, don't you take my arm off. I don't want you to take my arm.
Well, and his mother took a bumping her arm. She didn't make it either.
So I said, don't you take my arm off. I said, if it's that bad, it's all over with anyway, you know?
Yeah.
You know, my mom's aunts were talking about my mother's mother when she died of cancer. She said she had it pretty bad, so she just needed to touch her and she would breathe. Because she had it so bad, that she would breathe her a lot. It was some blood, but they would refuse everything.
How would you describe your sense of humor? Do you have a sense of humor?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, how would you describe it? Like sarcastic? Are you a jokester or a
No,
practical joker or what?
No,
You just got a regular sense of humor, huh?
just a regular something humor. I
Do
could
you like a good joke every once in a while?
Oh, sure.
He don't remember.
Don't remember.
You're older now, you don't remember.
He never did. He never could tell a
They
joke.
just
Never
go
could tell a joke. That's a good one.
But I know
He can enjoy it while it's going down, but after that, to come
Right.
home and tell me, he gets halfway through and then,
right after the service, I did have a pretty heavy temper.
Okay?
I think he's always had a temper.
Okay. Let's see. What's the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you?
That's,
oh,
What? Go on, we're all.
Go ahead. We're adults, well, most of us.
Ryan,
that's
Of course
when,
not.
when the doctor told me, he says, it could be you.
Oh.
So, you know what we had to do, don't you? They didn't
Yeah.
have the facilities they got today. So, we had to go home and make love,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and then go right back to the doctor.
Okay. Okay. You're embarrassing your grandson.
That's okay.
Okay.
that's all right.
God, he knows more than we ever wanted him to know.
And I'll tell you, both of us,
Kids today do know.
she was as red as a cherry.
What activities have you enjoyed as an adult? No, not that.
Besides that.
Yeah, besides that.
What?
I mean, what did you like to do as an adult? I mean, you know, what, besides those activities?
Oh, I
Pretty good
like to
question.
watch, just love to watch the kids play, football and sports, the grandchildren, and at the achievements they attained it in their grades in school.
Did you
John's
like to
going to
travel?
college.
Hmm?
Did you like to travel?
Oh, yeah.
And we love to travel. Saw some beautiful places.
What a great question to ask for.
Yeah, I know, I know.
If you ever get a chance to take a cruise, go through the Panama Canal. Go all the way through it. It's one
Have
of
to do
the,
that when Gary's retired.
yeah, it's one of the most,
I'm gonna skip a couple questions. You guys getting tired, Brian's getting tired.
I'm fine.
Yeah, okay.
he's gotta go to school tomorrow.
No, he
No,
doesn't.
he doesn't, he's off. They had snow days, they gave him the day after Easter off and one day
Have-
earlier.
Have you ever met any famous people? You ever met a famous person? Who was it? You ever met a president?
Well, you met Babe Ruth.
Oh yeah, you met Babe Ruth.
And the Yankees.
What was he like?
Just really a nice guy, down to earth.
Loved to drink home brew?
Yeah. Well, that's what they said. Us kids would just sit there and watch, you know. Well, we met Lou Gehrig also. And there was a shortstop that was very famous, and we met him. Yeah. That was on
Tony
Sarpy
Lazzari?
Island.
Tony Lazzari?
Something like that.
Who, Gary, who was that, the guy that, asked Dad to help, if he could help him coach, remember?
Oh,
One that lived-
Schlossnickel. Schlossnickel.
Yeah.
And remember one time he,
Took us down in the Pittsburgh dugout
yeah,
for Danny Murtaugh.
Didn't you also meet,
and here,
like
here,
one of the Vanderbilt?
I don't know, I don't think anybody believed him when he said, oh, he knew Danny Murtaugh. I don't think any of them. So we made sure that he had enough money that he could get those kids in if he wasn't, you know.
But yeah, you met one of the Vanderbilts though, didn't you?
Oh, yes, he was a PT boat captain, yeah. That was, I can't think of that area. He was right across, see, Milam Bay come in on a great big, you know,
Yeah.
land, and just a bay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And he was, and the PT boat was on
Vanderbilt,
the other
wasn't it?
side. And I guess there weren't no more than about 3 or 4 Navy officers over there, and most of them were just PT boatmen like John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
I did meet him. No, I don't know. Well, he was a famous guy.
Yeah. Have you ever won any special awards or recognition as an adult? No.
I think just I guess working for Mac Electric, I guess a lot of recognitions. When I retired, they said I was the guy that made the most money for the company. Worked 44 years for them without losing a day. They asked me not to retire.
They were gonna give him something that night, and because he told him he was, going to retire, they never did give him what they were gonna give him, you know.
Oh, really?
And they were having something made, and it wasn't ready for that. Yeah.
That would have embarrassed the hell out of me in front of all those guys.
Okay, what was the most beautiful place you ever visited? You said you took a lot of trips. What was the most beautiful place you ever visited?
Well, he thought France,
Ireland was outstanding. Ireland and Switzerland. The most beautiful place
Yeah,
would
the
be
most beautiful.
Paris. Paris, France.
Why?
oh, that Arc of Triumph and stuff. You haven't no idea what
They
that
are
is,
at the
Mary.
Triumph at one end, and the Eiffel Tower at the other end.
And all lit up.
Normandy Beach. The speed train to London. 20 minutes to go under the English Channel. So, the tour of London. But the most outstanding thing would be Paris. The way they got that thing put together. All the areas were, the old, where they took and guillotined the people. That's in that big park. that they built there. And,
What was the longest trip or vacation you ever went on? Hawaii?
Animal Canal.
well, we were
Hawaii? Panama
Hawaii
Canal?
was-
Everybody got
about to-
singing, he said
about
it
to
was
say
long.
we're, the Panama Canal was, well, we were over 3 weeks in Hawaii. A little over 3 weeks. Because we were up to all 4 islands.
And little boy popped out.
Yeah, is that the one?
Yeah,
that
that's
was
what
before?
They called, and
We couldn't catch up to you guys.
there's
I kept
America.
leaving messages at these hotels, well, they're not checked in yet, they just
I
checked
couldn't help
out.
it, my water broke early.
Well, we once saw a James Bond
I'm
movie.
telling you, that's a miracle. The only time when we left in the morning and had breakfast, we were in them cars traveling. And that's the only time we come back and stopped at that kind of mini.
It's just meant to be.
Yeah. And that phone rang and we answered and it was him. Yeah. That's the only time we went back in that morning. Every time we left at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Hey, you were gone.
we were gone for the rest of the day.
We were
Okay,
shocked that-
is there anything is there anything you have always wanted to do but haven't?
Yeah.
Let him answer, would you please?
I mean, I've got-
Would you please
But I know
be
he's gonna say,
quiet?
I know he's
Just
gonna say.
wait. Is there anything that you would have liked to done but you didn't get around to doing it?
Well, I would have liked to have done, I'm tickled to death we didn't have Bradley stay here. But I would have moved on to another house. And I would have moved on to another house. Because this is where you make your money. If you want to play the stock market, you can't make as much money in the stock market as you can selling your house after you live in it. They say 5 years, but say 6, 7, and then move on to another house a little bigger and into a finer area. But if we'd have moved after we were here, and would have moved to that place on Clayton Road, now it's pretty far out, it's past Baxter, but that is we drive through it every once in a while when we're with Arnold, making that short cut back in over to the airport.
Didn't you always want to go back to Australia?
You always
Oh,
told me, you
yeah.
always want to go back to Australia.
I would have
Always
loved to
say
go
that all
back
the
to
time.
We
Australia.
forgot about that.
Because I know he's mentioned that to me so many times.
That is such a long plane ride, though.
There's a guy at church goes over there all the time. He's got a little travel agency. We talked to him at several of these dinners that they had, and one of her clubs. And he's been up to Darwin twice.
Nothing like it when you were there. Now, do you remember your mom's parents?
Yeah.
Okay. What were they like?
Well, my grandfather was an extremely businessman. He ran the entire business, the whole sheet metal business. They had a big place on Manchester Avenue, up from Sarah Street. I think the building is still standing.
Okay, what was your grandmother like?
Just a hard-working woman.
Just like his mother, I guess.
Yeah. Baked those bread every day, every Saturday. It was all work. There wasn't too much clowning around, I'll tell you.
Did your grandmother look like your mother? Did your mother look like your grandmother? Or did she look like
I've
your
never
grandfather?
seen the picture.
I don't know. They dressed so funny in them days, I don't know, what we would call funny,
What
Like how they dress.
what year did your grandfather die?
I was little. He was buried from the living room. The funeral, the Crickhauser embalmed his body, and they didn't. Crickhauser had a small little funeral parlor on Manchester, just down from where Grandpa had his tinning business, sheet metal business. And, both Grandma and Grandpa were buried from the living room.
Well, you were his pet, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I was for Grandpa. Yeah.
Okay, you were his pet, huh?
Yeah.
Why, you were his
Favorite.
Why, what did he do for you?
Oh,
He just found it, did he,
oh, I can remember one thing, I wanted a bat, new baseball bat. And boy, my grandpa was, we ain't spending that kind of money. And he gave me the money to buy this thing.
well, you couldn't have been that old then. I mean, you had to have been pretty old to want a bat to play baseball.
Oh, we played baseball from that Indian ball right out in the street, you know, because there were not too many cars, you know.
Yeah. What else do you remember about him?
Oh, just really, he dressed business-like, you know. He didn't dress in the overalls like Charlie and what was the other guy? Charlie
I remember
Theodore?
Charlie, but I don't know.
and
his name.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
not Willie, Charlie. I said his name.
Did he go to
before.
church?
Huh?
Did he go to Emmaus?
I think they all did. Yeah. I know my grandfather did.
What I meant. Yeah.
You didn't have any photocopies of any of those registers, so they won't
Oh, I
let you
do.
that.
No, they're at Eden Seminary and they're all in Microsoft.
Oh,
Charlie and
Well, they have birth, marriage, and birth, marriage, and confirmation. The guy didn't photocopy their death. But you don't know when he died. Did he die in the 20s or 30s?
seemed like he was still living in the 30s because I can remember him.
Mm-hmm.
and your grandmother died after him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ruth used to live with us. Her mother died. And,
Did he? Did he have any influence on your life? Your grandpa?
oh, I don't know. Taught you how to work, I guess. Because everybody had to do something.
But he let you work in the business?
Well, I used to go up on the roofs and hold stuff. Cutting sash and door, I can remember that thing is about 4 stories tall. I'm trying to think of that other guy's name because he's the guy that had me up on the roof holding stuff. Louis. Wasn't it Louis?
Yeah.
Yeah. Louis was his name.
Okay, what do you remember about your grandmother?
Not too much other than that she was like I say, a real hard-working person. Get in that hot kitchen in the summertime baking that bread so everybody could eat it. Bread and coffee cake. And this was a wood stove and it was turned into a coal stove. And that thing, you saw it, didn't you? That thing was, I guess, 6 or 7 foot long, you know? And the ovens, and they baked that stuff right in the oven. That kitchen would get so hot, you could hardly stand it, you know?
Now, how many children do you have besides your mom?
What's that? Art?
Uncle Art?
And the one that died of, in the 70s, in flu epidemic. That was her stuff.
No, Hershots, it was Art Hershots. Louis was a guy that was gassed in World War II, World War I. He was That was Charlie's son.
Ever, did one die in the 17 flew up and ever,
That was my brother.
but there was an uncle that died with him.
Okay.
So you had an uncle die in the 1917 flu epidemic?
Mm-hmm.
My brother died that year. I was born right after he was buried.
Did your grandma have any special talents besides cooking?
I don't think so.
No sewing, no playing the
Well, they all-
piano, no...
I don't know who played that piano.
Well, somebody had to play it. They wouldn't have had it in there if somebody didn't play it.
Decoration.
No, they didn't have that. What kind of influence did she have on your mother?
Oh, a dominating, because when they all died and the depression hit, here are the residences and the flat, you know. And my mom bought them both at their present value, which was, if she wouldn't have done that and let the taxes build up, she could have bought them on the courthouse steps for thousands of dollars less. But she wouldn't move. Take care of her mother, take care of grandpa, you know, her father. And,
Your grandparents wouldn't move anyway, huh?
no, well, to them, this residence was a pretty nice place, and it was. It was a nice one.
Uncle Artin and they bought a nice place down South St. Louis, but she wouldn't.
But my mom wouldn't move.
Yeah.
Uncle Artin then bought on Dolores Street in South St. Louis, between Kings Highway and Morganford.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Do you have any kind of story that you can tell about your grandfather, your grandmother, that best kind of characterize them? Anything that they did? Besides your grandpa buying you a bat when you wanted a bat and your dad wouldn't buy it for you?
Yeah, I remember that, all right. No. Like I told you before, they're very hard-working people, like all those people were in them days, you know?
Were you her favorite or just your grandfather's favorite?
My grandfather, I could have got anything off of him.
So who? So, okay. Were there any family heirlooms or properties that was handed down from generation to generation, you know of? Just the stuff that, what's her name has, right?
That's
Mary.
Bruce.
Mary, or, what's her name? Your cousin.
Bruce Kowalski.
No, your other cousin. The two sisters.
Oh, Mary Ellen and Rose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they had some stuff.
It didn't come from our side of the family.
Yes, it did. They had a tin cup. She said they have a tin cup that they used when they were, they helped put copper piping into the Anheuser-Busch brewery. And they had some of those little measuring cups that they used to use in there to measure the stuff.
That had to be from Ruth's dad. Ruth's dad was considered one of the top plumbers in the area. He run the plumbing job for Bell Telephone Company downtown.
What was his name?
Gerhardt.
Gerard.
That's who you were named after?
And my middle initial, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Did your grandparents speak German?
Yes.
Only German? Or they speak
German and English. A lot of German around the house.
Did you have any black sheep in the family? Do you know of any like black sheep in the family?
Let's see.
you know, like, I don't know, somebody who ended up in jail or,
No,
uh,
they say my dad's father was, and my other grandfather.
yeah, but you don't know much about him.
No.
He was kind of wild, wasn't he?
Well, not wild, I guess, but he liked the girls, from what I understood.
You never met him, or you met him, but you
Oh, I
don't
met
remember
him, and I can remember,
Did he look like Grandpa? Or do you look like John?
I can't remember. My mom just didn't go over there too often, and it was only on a special occasion that we went. My understanding was somewhere over on Lindell Avenue, one of those high rises over there, up towards Graham.